Hello, good morning, or good evening, whenever you're watching this. I hope you are doing well. My name is Catherine, and today we are baking like Lara Jean Covey. Series to all the boys I loved before, Lara Jean and her family put together a cookie baking bonanza. They make a ton of different kinds of cookies, and so today I thought I would try and bake some of those. I'm not the best baker, but I always put in my all and give it my best effort. I was super excited when I discovered that in the back of the book there are actually recipes to make some of the cookies that Lara Jean and her family makes. So today I will be making Josh's favorite white chocolate cranberry cookies, the infamous fruitcake cookies, Kitty's favorite snickerdoodle cookies, and I will be making some apple turnovers, which aren't featured in the book, but they are featured in the movie. And yes, they're cherry in the movie, but I prefer apple. So it's what's happening. There we go. This book is one of my favorite books. It's so cute. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to finally try and settle the debate of which is better, the fruitcake cookies or the white chocolate cranberry cookies. Let's get started. So I am going to be starting out with the infamous fruitcake cookies. These are the ones that Peter Kavitsky just absolutely wanted them to make. The first step of this was to make the fruit filling stuff, which I did last night because it had to sit overnight. Roll that clip. As you can assume, this had a lot of dried fruit in it. We had 3 cups of dried figs, 2 ounces of candied cherries, 2 ounces of dried apricots, and those all had to be chopped up in the food processor along with 1.5 cups of chopped walnuts. Those all then got put in a large mixing bowl and mixed together. I definitely could have chopped everything up a little bit more. I then added 1.5 cups of raisins, 1 tablespoon of honey, and 2 tablespoons of sherry. Oh, look at that honey pour. I ended up actually using vermouth because I didn't have any sherry, but same difference. I probably could have done 1 more tablespoon of the vermouth and then 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And that all got poured in and mixed together real well so that everything is nice and soaked. I then covered it all up and left it overnight to soak and marinate. It's a weird word, marinate. I don't know how I feel about that when referring to fruit. Our next step is going to be to beat the butter, cloves, sugar, brown sugar in the mixer. So let's do that. So like I said, I mixed up 1 cup of butter, half a teaspoon of ground cloves, and half a cup of superfine sugar, not just any kind of sugar, superfine, and 1/3 cup of light brown sugar. The next step is to add the egg. So it does say 1 egg, but it says 1 extra large egg, and we only have large eggs. I'm gonna put in 1, see how that does, and then I might put in a second one. Oh, pass, Catherine. So sweet. You definitely needed 2 eggs. I ended up going back in a little bit later and added a second egg because it was dry. I'm gonna be totally real. I don't know what it's supposed to look like, but I feel like 1 egg was enough. So we're sticking with 1 egg. Finally, we are putting in the flour, which is the part I'm very nervous about in the mixer. Let's do it. I put 2 2/3 cup of all-purpose flour into the mixer, slowly adding it in. I'd watched enough Great British Bake Off to know that if you put it in too fast, it goes flying. And right about there is when I realized I needed that second egg. So finally, I am adding in all of the delicious fruit into the mixture. Y'all, my measurements definitely went wrong somewhere because there was way more fruit than could possibly fit in with this dough. I feel like the dough is a vessel for the fruit more than anything. Okay, now that it's all mixed together, the next step is to divide the dough in half, roll into 18-inch logs, and wrap in plastic wrap or wax paper. The real question is how do I know what 18 inches is? The rolling out didn't go very well, to say the least. I tried doing it on top of the plastic wrap, then I just used the table. I cleaned it, it's fine. I also did not divide them equally, and one ended up way longer than the other. So the fruitcake cookies are in the freezer, and we are just gonna let them sit there. I will be baking those last. Let's move on to the next ones. Up next is Josh's favorite white chocolate cranberry cookie. Now, I have to say, I am Team Peter in every way else, but these do sound slightly better than the fruitcake cookies. So I had to cream half a cup of unsalted butter and then add in a fourth a cup of light brown sugar, half a cup of regular sugar, and then we added in a quarter teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of sea salt. And the recipe calls for 1 cup of whole wheat pastry flour. I did not have that. I was not about to go buy that, so I just added 1 cup of regular flour. And then in a large mixing bowl, I folded in half a cup of white chocolate chips and half a cup of dried cranberries. Don't know if what I was doing was considered folding, but I tried my best, and that is all we can ask for under these circumstances. I also did not make nearly as much dough as I anticipated. This definitely made the least amount of cookies, so if you're looking for a small batch of cookies, this is it. Okay, so while that is all chilling in the fridge, we are moving on to the Applestrudel turnovers, whatever you want to call them. For this, I peeled and diced up 6 small Granny Smith apples that I put into lemon juice. Every hour. It does that. Every hour. Campbell's soup clock aside, I put those into a bowl, mixed it with 2 cups of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and a dash of vanilla. Then after lighting our very old stove, I cooked those down for about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I had to measure out all of the dough. There's a couple holes, but I think it's okay. And yes, I did make pre-made puff pastry. I was not about to make puff pastry, y'all. Like, come on, be real. Okay, these are gonna be very irregular, and Mary Berry would be very disappointed in me, but it's fine. We're doing fine. After I cooked down the apple so it was still a bit crispy, I then filled up all of the puff pastries and crimped them with a fork. Of course, I had to finish it off with some butter on top to give it that nice shine, and I also sprinkled on some cinnamon. And into the oven those went for approximately 15 minutes. Alright, that is going to be in the oven for about 15 minutes. During that time, I am going to be cleaning and setting up to make snickerdoodles. Oh my gosh, this is a lot, but it's great. We're having a great time. It's fun. Soon enough, those puffed up real nice, and it was time to take them out of the oven. Okay. So, these look nothing out hot. These look nothing like the ones from the movie, but you know what? They still look really delicious. Dang. Okay. And they didn't really come out the sides. They're just like highly irregular in size. Like this is like almost twice as big as that, which is hilarious. Okay, so this is slowly becoming a disaster zone, but we're doing fine. We are going to start mixing up the snickerdoodles. Also, sorry if the lighting has just gotten bad. This has literally taken me like 4 hours. Let's get started on mixing up the snickerdoodles. Woo! At that point, the delirium did start to set in, but we continued on. So into the mixer, we put half a cup of unsalted butter, half a cup of shortening. Yes, both of those went into there. Gosh, those cookies were so good. 1.5 cups of white sugar, 2 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and those all got mixed together real nice. After a terrible dance party, we then moved on to the dry ingredients. To a separate mixing bowl, we put in 2 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, and that all got mixed in all together. And of course, then we carefully added those into the mixture, a little bit at a time. Again, I did not want all the powder to go flying all over the place. After that, I rolled in about 1.5 inch thick balls of dough in sugar and cinnamon, half a cup each, and they went into the oven, and there we go. We started in our first cookies. It was a very exciting moment. I was very stoked. And after cleaning, I sat and waited. And it was time for them to come out. It's a very short bake, about 8 minutes. Right, here they are. I did make the mistake of baking the second tray a little bit longer, and I ended up burning them only slightly. They still tasted fine, but they did get a little bit burnt on the bottom, which was sad. And I put them on the cooling rack. All right, first batch of cookies done. They came out pretty good. These ones got a little bit burnt on the bottom, but I'm sure they'll taste fine. I have one more batch of these, the snickerdoodles, in there, so we are going to finish off those, probably break for dinner because it's getting late, and then finish off the rest of the cookies. So we've had our little dinner break, and now it is time to actually bake the rest of the cookies. We are going to be starting off with the fruit cake cookies. Maybe I should have been drinking for the entirety of this video, but it's fine. I then cut the fruit cake cookies into 1/2 inch slices, and let me tell you, it is really hard cutting into frozen cookie dough. My hand hurt after that. And stuck them in the oven for about, I gave them about 20 minutes in our oven, but it says 15 to 20 minutes. After doing a touch test to see if I burned myself on the cookies, spoiler alert, I did, I pulled them out and they were good to go. This made so many fruitcake cookies. There were so many. About 5 dozen, maybe too many. I wish you could all smell these because they smell amazing. After putting them all onto a cooling rack, which I almost did not have enough room on the cooling rack, it was time to move on to the white chocolate cranberry cookies. These ones you just rolled out into about 1 inch balls and then flattened them out and sprinkled them with a little bit of sea salt. This was definitely the easiest of the cookies to make. Well, this one and the snickerdoodles were definitely the easiest of the cookies to make. Basically, the fruitcake cookies, they were difficult, and yeah. Those went into the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes until they were lightly golden, and meanwhile, I cleaned. I think I definitely overcooked these just a little bit. They were a little bit too golden. They passed the mark of lightly golden, but then I was done. And then, of course, I had to plate the cookies for an Instagram pic, which you should check out on my Instagram. And there you go. That is how you bake just like Lara Jean Covey. I could take a bite right now and pretend like that is my first bite, but let's be real. I have been snacking on them all throughout baking. And I can tell you, I love Peter Kay. These cookies are good, but they aren't quite as good as the white chocolate cranberry. However, my favorites, definitely the snickerdoodles. Maybe it's a Catherine thing because they are Kitty's favorites, but the snickerdoodles definitely win. But they are all delicious, and I hope I did Lara Jean proud. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos, maybe not quite like this, but other bookish videos, be sure to hit subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, bye!